Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the channel guys. Thank you for watching. I do hope you all are having a fantastic day, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're studying, whether you need to get those qualifications, whatever it is. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. But thank you for tuning in. That said, we've got some Battlefield 6 news regarding Wake Island and the second half of Season 4. Essentially all of the information around this map. This is a gameplay reaction from the recent trailer that we've seen, and we will be deep diving into that. I did make a post regarding the recent changes they've made to custom search. These just seem like really bizarre changes. They completely removed Domination, Rush, then Team Deathmatch, then King of the Hill, and then also went ahead and removed this multiplayer playlist, the Flag and Frag playlist, from the menu. What exactly that was, I have no idea because I don't play those playlists. That said, they go and reintroduce King of the Hill. They reintroduce Team Deathmatch into the game, including the Flag and Frag multiplayer playlist. But again, they've ignored the Rush game mode. I couldn't facepalm any harder seeing this news, because the Rush game mode is a staple to Battlefield. I'm presuming that the reason they've done all of this is because they're looking at metrics. They're seeing who is coming in, who is playing what game modes. That's basically dictating whether or not they should keep these game modes. Now, of course, this has all been happening since game devs have started taking on this live service bullshit. It's as if they can't support game modes for some dumb reason because they just don't have the capacity on the fucking game for some reason. Rush needs to be a cool game mode of this game. It's not our fault that you've designed the maps too fucking small to accommodate Rush and now no one's playing that game mode. That's your fault. But Rush mode needs to be in Battlefield 6. That is pathetic. It's screaming to your audience that you just don't understand that this is a priority game mode in Battlefield. Can we get 64-player Rush, please? Can we get 48-player Rush? Can we get maps big enough to support that game? Can we rearrange the map layouts in the game to accommodate for the game mode? That would be a great idea. Now moving on, DICE did actually release some recent information about Wake Island. They provided us with this map layout. The interesting thing about this is it includes the two carriers adjacent to the map. Now this is an asymmetrical map. You do have some issues. I can tell immediately that the carriers are not at an equal distance from the island. Okay, of course the island is not symmetrical. There is going to be issues with players on NATO reaching the island sooner. Okay, now they need to readjust this. They need to move the carriers about because there is a balancing issue immediately looking at the layout. That said, from everything I've seen visually with the map itself, it again does look really pretty. I am worried that they are going to fall into the same traps that they've been doing with every single map in the game at this point, and that's over decoration. We do know that this map is basically working off a build off of BF5's version of Wake Island. Kill boundaries, is that going to impact this map? Do boats have enough space to navigate around this map? Is the map going to be cluttered to shit with just tons of assets, tons of geometry, buildings? These are real concerns, and it is going to have an impact on gameplay. You compare this map to BF3, Wake Island there was pretty much vanilla. Lots of space, lots of breathing room. You could see wide open sight lines, just tons of breathing room. Knowing how this team of artists design shit in BF6, you know that's going to be a problem, particularly within that shipwreck area. I'm not expecting boats to be able to do shit in this area. It looks really shallow, and again, working off that BF5 geometry, it does give them a lot to play with in terms of the infantry combat zones that they could put on this map. You look at a few of the images, the aerial shots of the map, you've got quite a few spaces which look really familiar to what we saw in BF5. Things like the industrial warehouses, those hangars and those bunkers. Again, all familiar play spaces. However, there does seem to be a lot more buildings on this map. Looking at the site plan, you've got the docks, fuel storage, ammo depot, hangar, barracks, radar station. Again, it all does seem to resemble BF5 quite tightly, except that they've added a shipwreck to the map, and I'm not too sure how that will play out. I think that's just unnecessary geometry. They are fixated with just adding cover all over the place in this game, so again, that could be a massive problem. We've got a wider look at that central area, and again, you can see how that sunken cargo ship adds quite a few bits of cover pretty much all over the place. You will be able to drive the attack boat through this. Just with all of the cover that's here, it's just a kill zone for boats. You're going to get javelined, you're going to get RPG'd. This is that space that you just don't want to get stuck in. Now this section here does appear to be the barracks. Now again, it's a lot more convoluted. Tons more structures compared to what they had in BF5. This has added a second level to the map. You've got ground floor and then you've got your first floor. Considering that there's just tons more shit on the map as well. Again, more problems, more solutions. Possibly you could just blow everything up. This does add another challenge for the attack boat. But again, you can just destroy everything. More chaos there. Just an opportunity here for more chaos. And this could be the fuel storage area. So what you can see here is the big massive tankers. You look at the map, it's quite wide open. I remember playing this in BF5, it was still quite a chaotic map. There was still lots of shit going on, but you look at BF6 and yeah, everything I've been saying is condensed into one image right there. Tons of shit everywhere. How this is going to play out, I'm going to assume it's going to play out like every single map in this game so far. Not necessarily a bad thing. BF6 is more CQC focused, and this is the game that they're trying to build here. It is a fun game. I really enjoy this game. I want this game to succeed. However, they do need to produce more maps. At this point, it's like, we need more maps. It just is, we need more. For a live service, part of the live service is that you have consistent content coming in. And at this point, it would be nice if we had more maps coming in instead of just bullshit cosmetics all the time and updates. Updates just isn't content. And yeah, all in all, the map does look quite spectacular. Again, that naval focus does really fit Battlefield 6 really well. And I am counting on this map to really innovate and push this game forward, because again, this is the first time we get to see a carrier strike map here. There is tons more space. We have 2 carriers, and again, that carrier strike mode, that's going to allow players to board each other's carriers. You look back at BF4, this was a really fun game mode. I really hope that this game mode is going to be as epic as it was in BF4.
Our defenses have been breached! Anyone still left, stand your ground! Show these fucking bastards what we're made of! We're at the bridge. Wait, please!
There is an interesting overview of the images which I posted about. This all of course comes from the designer, Victor, whatever the fuck his last name is, who acknowledged the community debates on what was peak Wake Island, apparently. Again, this is all coming from the Battlefield Bulletin, along with the transcript of the entire interview with the level designer. So if you're interested in that, do take a look. I will be touching on some of this just to get an insight on what exactly the design philosophies were with this map. He does go into each specific zone area on the map and highlights what exactly makes this a strategic point and how they've balanced gameplay, gunplay, CQC combat, infantry combat, and how exactly this plays out in Breakthrough. All of this did make for an interesting read. However, he did mention quite a few gameplay gimmicks which I've seen recycled into many of the maps in this game. For instance, we've got the zip lines, and I don't exactly like that mechanic. It just never made sense to see people ziplining upwards into a map. We saw this with Suru Reef and it looks ridiculous. We never had that kind of stuff in BF3, BF4. It doesn't need to be in this game, and I don't know why they're consistently using it. The fact that you can open your parachute just literally 0.5 seconds after jumping is also quite a gimmicky mechanic. Yeah, I'd really love to see them change that and go for a more tactical realism. That said, I might be talking about the rest of what is in this transcript as part of a much larger deep dive into this map once it releases.
All squads, advance by sector and secure the AO. Enemy positions are cleared for engagement. We have air support ready to assist. Let's move.
Okay, so this is obviously, you've got the team taking off on the carrier. Again, epic scale right there. This is that Battlefield scale that should have been in the game at launch. No idea where this was, no idea where the energy was. Why is it taking this long to get it into the game? I don't know. You have to ask the developers. Okay, I've been asking that question since day Like, all of the content is just coming in really late. However, again, like, we are approaching the annual release of this game, and it is coming in quite late. However, that said, DICE have basically put in this really awkward intro animation. So when players spawn into the game, players are already boots on the ground, and they're looking at other players, and they have to sit through this really buggy, awkward animation sequence. Now, again, visually can be really cool, but in terms of gameplay, it slows things down. Players cannot spawn from the deploy screen. They're already on the map, and so they can't pick what vehicles they want to pick. And so there's this huge rush to grab whichever vehicle you can and basically head out. And at that point, players can't really get what vehicles they want. Like, for example, the attack boat, the attack heli. Players have to make this huge sprint to get the vehicle they want, and they often miss it. And so they obviously cut that sequence out. But I think moving forward, they should just ignore that, pretend it doesn't exist anymore, and just allow players to spawn into the game from the deploy screen.
We have the edge. Let's push on and take victory. Go, go, go!
So again, really epic sequence here. They flew past the radar tower, and the entire combat space looks really good. Again, lots of detail. This is really artistically driven. Okay, again, lots of asset placement, lots of life on the map itself. In terms of gameplay, obviously these things get in the way. Obviously it has an impact on your movement. Obviously there's things which is going to interfere with player navigation, and that's been an issue with this game from the jump. That said, they do know how to make some really epic trailers. Yeah, this all appears to be in-game. The amount of effort it's taken to basically run this through one entire sequence must have taken ages.
We have armored reinforcements inbound.
Oh yeah, see, this is the familiar problem I'm talking about. You've got so much shit on the map that basically your vehicles are split into lanes, and they're just funneled through these awkward tunnels every single fucking time. You know how awkward this shit is for vehicles like the tank? In any instance here, the tank could get jumped by a random reconner who's just going to chuck C4 all over him, and that's it. And this is how the map is designed. To complement that type of ambush style gameplay, it's really fucking annoying. Yeah, reoccurring problem right there. Vehicles are just forced to go into lanes.
This is it! Take the objective! Taking objective Bravo!
This does look like the barracks area. Again, lots of buildings. And again, like I've just said, that those buildings, they offer another floor space for the infantry to shoot from. And again, it's going to cause a problem for vehicles. Same problem with the radar tower. You've added another level to the map, which wasn't there initially. And obviously that opens up more opportunities for the infantry to attack vehicles. It opens up opportunities for snipers, for the LMGs, and for NGs to basically take vehicles out. Again, it just convolutes the map slightly. Can be a bad thing depending on how you look at it.
Objective Bravo is under our control. What's up? Move forward! Man down! Stay with me! Everyone! We need to get clear of the ship now! Alright, we now hold more objectives. Keep pushing.
Yeah, they really do know how to nail these in-game cinematics, man. Frostbite just makes everything just look so fucking epic all the time. This particular zone is where I am worried that the vehicular combat could be a problem. Again, lots of shallow areas for the attack boat. There are no-go zones. You've just got infantry running through those shallow areas to try and reach that central area, that central cargo ship. Now again, if that is, I do believe that there is an objective of some kind there. If they don't place an objective there, they've just missed out. that cargo ship is basically screaming to have a capture point on it. Would be interesting to see if they do put a flag there in conquest mode. Otherwise, that whole area is just a redundant space for infantry just to camp. I'm not really seeing why that needed to be there. Oh yeah, so they have added a capture point in this area. Now obviously that is going to force players to congregate in this one area. So that was the logic behind why I would have placed a flag there. So it does seem that they do have some common sense. Yeah.
Friendly lead confirmed. We're controlling the battle. Good work.
With the amount of detail that's gone into this one trailer, it's like, how long did this take you guys to run through this entire sequence perfectly? This is all one entire run from one perspective of the player. There's no dramatic cuts anywhere. If only they had that same energy, that same passion with the rest of the game, maybe we could have gotten more maps. It does seem like they've spent way too much time on delivering this one map per month thing. It's like they are wasting too much time on that asset placement, on this drip feed style map delivery. It's like you need to pump out maps a lot faster than this.
Keep the momentum.
There's just way too much time spent on asset placement and over decorating really simple maps. Because these are simple maps, it's not like Wake Island is at all a fucking difficult map to remake.
Stop moving! Heads up!
So we got some jet gameplay here. Again, jets in this entire game have not received any attention. It's taken over a year. Well, it's taken pretty much a year at this point post-launch to get some kind of attention for jets. This is the two-seater. I don't know which jet this is. However, I'm not sure what's going on in this guy's perspective. What is he doing exactly? It looks like he's kind of painting targets. And yeah, I really have to see a lot more gameplay with this thing.
Direct hit! Fast mover down! All units, if the enemy secure final lockdown, they've won. We need to stop them. Attack now!
Yeah, so the carrier on that deck does look really good. Again, you do get to oversee Wake Island. I am expecting to see some long-range sniper combat there. However, we didn't get to see any of the strike point game mode. That's quite concerning considering we are about a week away from launch and they didn't show us anything about the mode, no specific details. There is no gameplay inside the carrier, the objective spaces, and it's as if they haven't prepared the content yet. I'm going to assume that they don't have it ready. They have some gameplay of the inside of the carrier, but it's like it just doesn't have the same intensity as it did back in BF4. If you look at the gameplay footage here, it's like it's just missing that same energy. I mean, it is cool that we can see, you know, some gameplay of the inside of the carrier, but this was exclusive gameplay. And again, it's just like they've just missed it in the trailer reveal. Like they had nothing to show of the carrier strike point game mode. There was nothing inside the carrier. That's a bit weird. They're probably making some last minute adjustments here and there, but that's quite concerning considering that this Wake Island DLC, this update, is basically headlining this strike point game mode, this carrier strike game mode. Again, it should be in there. Overall, the map again looks really pretty. However, it's just falling into the same problems as all of the other maps in the damn game. I'm not sure what the level designer is doing, whether or not they have a collective team of artists just basically shitting assets all over these maps, but that needs to stop. They need to readjust, make real quick readjustments, because it does seem as though there are real tight spaces here and there which just don't need to be there. Again, it is going to have an impact on vehicular combat. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I shall see you in the next one.